Jesus. All right, well, we've started. We may as well give it a go. Let's go. Can't hear anything on the computer, but bugger it. Okay, good morning, everybody. Yeah, what a way to start. Technical problems, beautiful. From the salty Mediterranean Sea to like Johannesburg's ice cold, smoggy. But I still love being home, man. It's still my favorite thing to do. I love coming home from a holiday. I actually realized on this trip, and with no disrespect to the lovely people I was with or anything that we had just the most lovely time. I've realized like I don't need longer than 5-6 days.
But
I'm good.
But home for you is Pretoria. Pretoria is so much better than Joburg.
It is. Hello, Lee Asmol. How's it?
Hello. How's everybody?
Ryan, I don't know what's going on here because it seems like the roadcaster is not communicating with the laptop in some way, shape, or form. It's very irritating. I think it might have to do with this screen sharing thing that I'm doing. Let me just stop that and maybe it'll sort itself out. As, can you just talk to us quickly? Let's just hear if we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
He's back.
There we go.
See, Ryan, I don't need anybody. I'll just do everything.
Ryan, you're fired.
How are you? All right, yeah, we were just talking about how I just got back from a holiday, which was amazing. I mean, it was really just a holiday. There was no greater purpose to this, just to kind of swim in the sea, lie in the sun, be around cool people. It was awesome. But I realized I don't like to be away for more than 5-6 days. That's enough for me. That's my like upper limit for doing stuff like that. I feel very self-indulgent about it afterwards.
So basically, after the poll, after the audience decided that you hate winter, you decided to have summer.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point, right? I mean, like no one, if you were rich, if I were rich, if Leanne were rich, we would spend 3 months of the year in a better place than winter. There's nothing about winter, unless you're skiing in the Alps or something, nothing about winter that's sexy. And I even think for the people who are there for more than like a holiday, because we always think, oh, it must be nice to live like this when we're on holiday. But then we forget that those people have to, the rest of the time when we're not there on holiday, they're just working. For them, that's just work.
Imagine work like you're having to snowplow before you go to work.
But even in South Africa, if you think about it, like working in a resort, and anyone who's worked in a resort will tell you, if you're the guy who's taking people water skiing or you manage the fishing or whatever it is that people like to do in their spare time, you're not having fun. You're busy. That's work for you.
It's nice being on holiday. Hates being work.
Yeah, and I think you've got to draw that distinction in your head. So yeah, I loved it. It was a great little break. I think we only missed 5 shows, so it's not like I was away for that long. I had so many people complaining to me.
Well, do you identify as we now? Who's we?
No, I was annoyed because the audience in this show, God bless them. I mean, I love them and I hate them, just like they love and hate me. They complain incessantly whether I'm, taking a break or whether it's because we're doing some project or whatever it might be. There's always something that they're complaining about. And I don't mind because it means that, you still give a shit whether I'm here or not. Yeah. And long may that continue to be the case. And the team did an awesome job while I was away. So thank you all for doing that. But I got just endless complaints from people too. Like, why do you have to have a holiday? Fuck you.
Why do you have to be human, Gareth?
Yeah. What? Why should you have a holiday? Fuck you. I need you there on a Monday morning. So look, I'm here. Stop complaining now, right?
The king is not dead, but long live the king.
Oh, Jesus.
It means that you're hashtag loved, Gareth.
Oh yeah, because I spend my days and nights being desperate for hashtag love.
You pray every night in bed saying, how can I be more loved?
Oh, speaking of pray, that woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert is her name. She wrote another book called Snow Forest, which is set in Russia. Did you see she had to withdraw the book because a bunch of people, this is how pathetic civilization has become, a bunch of people, she says, from the Ukraine are very upset with her that she decided to set this novel. It's a novel. It's made up fiction. Okay, from the Eat, Pray, Love fucking woman. I mean, this is not someone who's like a
historian.
Yeah, they're going to write that Vladimir Putin rides in on a white horse and destroys.
It's not low-key propaganda.
Yeah. They made her, she's so pathetic and weak. I mean, she's the weak one, right? Because she fell for this. Instead of saying to them, fuck you, which is what she should have said. Like when I go on holiday, I'm like, fuck you to the audience. Because I'm not going to lie to you. Elizabeth Gilbert withdrew all of her books and she apologized. She's like, yes,
No.
I've taken people's feelings into consideration, and I agree with them that it wouldn't be appropriate to have a novel set in Russia. A novel set in Russia at this time.
She's not even documenting history. So you're telling me Russia will always go down as the bad guys now?
I heard this story on my way back, and I was like, I would have thought the world would have maybe got a bit smarter while I was away, but clearly not. They've gone in the opposite direction.
It was only a week, Gareth.
All right, what else? Please. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's glacial. This is not something that happens in a generation. Okay, so what did I miss? Help me, you two. Let's go.
Let's start with you. You opened the week last week.
Oh, well, I'm sure you could not miss the submarine implosion. So there was that. And like a lot of people are saying, why was so much attention put on that and not the ship that went down or capsized in off of Spain and 400 people were killed?
Because no one gives a shit. Because the part no one talks about, no one says out loud, is that they don't give a shit about those immigrants. Nobody does. The country they came from doesn't care about them, which is why they're happy to let them go. The country they're going to doesn't care about them because they don't want them. And the people on that boat have no one to care about them. All these people who go on the internet and they're like, and even Obama apparently said, well, I find it interesting that these 5 people in the submarine are getting so much attention to the people who are crossing on this migrant boat. It's probably your policies that set fire to Libya while you were president.
Also,
that caused these people to end up on a ship. How dare you? The crass impertinence of Barack Obama to say that people from North Africa who are unhappy in the countries that he's fucked up with his military-industrial complex that's out of control, telling them, well, I think it's wrong that you're paying attention to these 5 rich people instead of these, I don't know. He can't name one of them, of course. He can't tell you where they come from. He can't tell you how. Hillary and Benghazi is probably the cause of those people's misery.
Literally disassembled Libya, and we all watched it happen when she was Secretary of State.
And who was president then? Barack
Obama.
Yeah, so you shut your fucking mouth.
But on the note of the submarine is a pretty interesting story. It's people knew it was fucked, and they still went on it. The CEO knew it was fucked. He still went on it. Everyone knew it. It's a better story.
But it is a better story. But you see, it's also linked to the Titanic, which is always going to be, you could see, because that movie was the biggest movie of all time. People are like horrified with this idea of like live human beings sinking to the depths of the ocean and exploding under the pressure. I mean,
but I called it. They died instantly.
Yeah, they wouldn't
vaporized.
They wouldn't even
felt
known.
Pain. They wouldn't have known. Maybe if someone heard a crack, maybe. But sound. Not even.
So tell me, because one of the other things that irritated me about this is not just the comparison between that and the ship full of immigrants, but this idea that because these were rich people, we either have to treat it better or make fun of them, because there seems to be a lot of shit on the internet. Again, I tried to avoid this, but you can't. You can't hide from it.
No, exactly.
I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, they deserved it because they're rich." And what are these rich people doing?
Rich and stupid.
What do they do? How dare they spend their money not on me? Is basically what they were saying.
Okay, well, I'm team as in, you spend a lot of money to die, man.
Yeah. Look, at the same time, I mean, the CEO seems to have been a bit of a nutcase. But if people want to spend their money going down to see the Titanic, I mean, that's quite a thing.
What exactly? It's quite a memory.
I think maybe 200 people who've been alive on planet Earth, or maybe just over 250, somewhere around there, have ever actually laid eyes on the sunken Titanic.
Fun fact.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Fun fact, apparently one of the people that died, or one of the people in the story, right?
Yeah.
Is also, he's married to a descendant of someone who was actually on the Titanic that survived.
So he's married to.
Yeah, he's married to a wife.
This is quite a Kevin Bacon situation. But yeah, okay. But all right. That's interesting.
The Titanic curse continues, because that was the headline I read.
Yeah, but what I hate is that somehow people there's a group of people in society. I would love to say they're just on the internet, but they really are in society. And here Billy's got the point. He says people hate rich people. Now, I'm not saying you should love rich people, but I can guarantee you that these guys in that sub, first of all, they can spend their money anywhere they like. Second of all, if they are going to develop new technologies, like, for example, all these billionaires who are going into space with their rockets, they are finding new things out. They're discovering and developing new technologies, which will eventually trickle down to help the rest of us. I mean, they say that there are components of our cell phones these days that come from the
we don't even have to
the
go
NASA
far,
projects
Gareth.
to get to the moon.
Every time you want to warm like a cold slice of pizza, that is because people went to the moon.
Right. Thank you.
The microwave is literally Velcro. Every time you tie your shoes because you're too lazy to tie your shoelaces, Velcro. That's the thing that the space program did.
So, it's all good and well. A lot of this just comes from pure resentment, which is fine because you can't help it. You're an ape who just like a couple of 1,000 years ago came down from the trees, and you're jealous of the other ape who has
more coconuts.
Yeah, correct. So I get it. But it tells me a lot more about you than it does about the rich people in the sub. And I don't know any of these people, but it seems wrong to me. And I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind cracking jokes like instantly after a tragedy. But it seems wrong to me that you should take joy. It's fine in finding humor. Finding humor is a way of coping. But if you actually take joy in someone's death, then I think there's something you need to sort out.
Something off there.
Something you need to talk to the therapist about. Maybe you should go and see Dr. Hanan if he's got a gap in his schedule.
But also, I mean, the whole thing was presented to us in such an amazing story. And just going back to why we weren't that interested in the people trying to get out of Libya compared to this. If somebody on that, and this is again just human nature, if somebody on that ship if we knew their background story and they had like a body cam and they were exposing what all happens on one of these things, and you could follow every day that this person's adventures, what were they eating, were they eating anything, how was it progressing? If there was a picture painted, we probably would have been more interested. That's how superficial we are. Here we have.
I have a counter for that, Leanne. I have a great counter for that. We know how people cross the Limpopo River from Zimbabwe to thing. We have cameras of that. There's an actual reporter who
and people
did
get
the crossing
eaten by crocodiles.
People get tramped on and eaten by hippos, which do more damage than crocodiles, funny enough, even though they're not carnivorous.
Right.
But yeah, we have pictures of this. But again,
big ass mouths like that can't go to waste. It's not just for watermelons.
So we do have documentation of death on the Limpopo River, not just far. Limpopo River, people crossing from Zimbabwe into South Africa.
Let's see James Cameron flying down here to make a documentary about them.
Well, I've told this story before. Bill Gates tried. He tried to solve the malaria, not malaria. What's the one, the mosquito one?
Yeah, malaria.
Yeah, malaria. Yeah, but he came in with the nets, gave the people the nets, didn't educate the people. The people used the nets with pesticides to fish, and then they poisoned the entire river that they used to fish in. So all the fish died, and they all got sick, and they died from whatever in the pesticide was in there. And Bill Gates, all he did was just provide the nets. So he's a mass murderer.
Whether he liked it or not. You see, sometimes you can't help people. And sometimes you should just let 5 very rich people get into a submarine. And sometimes you should let a bunch of immigrants get on a rickety boat that's going to definitely go down in the med somewhere. And you just got to leave people alone. I mean, obviously, if you can save lives, you should. And I have unbelievable respect for all these rescue people who have to be called out at like 3 a.m. when something like this happens. They're like, oh, there's a bunch of people, I don't know, 2 kilometers down in the ocean, because that's about how far it is, right? 2.5 kilometers down. That's a long ass way. We don't have the equipment to get down there. There's no way a human can withstand those pressures.
They barely had the equipment to get down there.
Correct. And now these poor guys have to be woken up in like Canada or wherever. And they have to go and search for these people in a space that's the size of it's probably the size of Swaziland.
It's a mini.
Sorry,
I thought you meant
bigger than that.
Yeah. No, that thing. Listen, First of
That's
all,
the size of a minibus.
Can I just say, as much as I'm standing up for these rich people, and I am, and I think that anybody who wants to spend money on their hobbies, if it's your money, do what you want.
No, but also they were adventurers. They were so used to living on the edge. They risked their lives all the time.
I'm not an adventurer. Let me tell you something. I would not go down in this thing, even if you could absolutely 100% guarantee me. If you could 100% guarantee my safety, which is impossible. If you said to me, I absolutely promise you nothing bad will happen to you. You'll go down for like 20 minutes. You get to see the Titanic, the actual wreck, lying on the floor of the ocean. You'll find that old lady's necklace. you'll get it with the arm of the thing. You'll pick it up. You can have the necklace, and you can go down and see the Titanic, and we'll get you up safely. I'd still say that's not a place for me.
But if it's your time, it's your time, right? Like extreme sports are extreme sports for a reason.
Sure.
The Ferrari driver, Mark, what is his name? The guy who is a paraplegic now. I think they just put him down.
Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher.
Put him down. No, he's still going. He's still alive.
Going.
I think he's still alive, right?
He's still twitching there. But like he's a vegetable from skiing.
Yes.
And that's a rich man's sport. He decided to ski, went down the wrong slope, crashed and burned. Survived all the accidents driving a car at 200 miles an hour. But look what happened to him, skiing. It's your time, it's your time.
Speaking about whether it's your time or not, did you see that there was another father and son duo who was meant to be in the place of the father and son duo that were on the Titan?
Those two dodged a bullet, huh?
Yeah. So I've actually sent you a photograph of them, Gareth.
These two?
Yeah, it's a financier.
They would have exploded
first. Of all, what do people who look like that have any business in taking up so much space?
And you know what?
Imagine
I know why they
the size of a minibus.
Leanne, I know why they didn't get into the submarine, because there wouldn't be space for the other three.
I'm sure there's a weight limit, right?
I knew that's exactly what you were going to say. I knew it.
Sorry, am I that predictable?
Yes. So anyway, the two of them apparently. They're one of the main reasons that they pulled out was because the son had fears about what could happen, right?
Mm-hmm. He looks like a fearful type.
He doesn't seem like the strongest guy in the room.
He looks like he's afraid of his Netflix running out and his donut supply. That's what he looks afraid of. Okay, but anyway, so what do you got?
What he was actually afraid of was that they would get swallowed by a whale or attacked by a giant squid. Okay.
Projection. Okay.
Well, the whale one is not far off. The orcas are doing the most.
Yeah.
Lest we forget.
Yeah. That's true. The orcas probably sank that immigrant ship.
But it was so weird because Stockton Rush was so desperate for some reason to get these two on. He even offered them, and there are a couple of texts that you can see as well that I've sent you. These were directly between Stockton and this.
Right, so is he in the gray or the green?
Stockton is in the gray.
So the CEO of Ocean, whatever it is, says, I'm meeting this afternoon with a couple interested in Mission 2. Any progress on joining us this year and likely dates? So he's asking them, right?
Yes, he invited them.
All right, and then they say, but this is another dad, obviously. My son's friend researched what could go wrong and put a little scare in him. I'm trying to talk him down. He's excited to go, but concerned about the danger. By the way, this dad and this young man better be thanking that friend. That friend did them a solid, hey? That friend is that is the best friend that fat kid can ever have. So the Stockton CEO, whatever his name is, he goes, I'm happy to have a video call with him. Curious what the uninformed... It's always like this, huh? The uninformed would say the danger is and whether it's real or imagined. It's amazing how these people who speak from authority always mock those who have any skepticism. I mean, this guy's, the one in the gray is dead. Curious what the uninformed would say the danger is and whether it's real or imagined. Well, let's see, Stockton. Reality gave you a great big fat zero, and everything that uninformed kid said seems to be the one.
Devil's advocate, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, unfortunately, this was their time.
Hey, this was their time.
So he says he researched the marine life at that depth and perceived threats to the vessel. A sperm whale attacks the sub, or a giant squid grabs it and compromises the hull. Really stupid stuff. Okay, those are stupid things. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that.
That's uninformed.
But still, he turns out to be the broken clock, right?
Yeah,
and it carries on. It carries on. Do you want to hear more of this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very stupid, he says. The pressure is over 100 million pounds. No sperm whale or squid is ever going to be able to mess with the sub. While there's obviously a risk, it's way safer than flying in a helicopter or even scuba diving. There hasn't even been an injury in 35 years in non-military subs. I'll send an email with what happened when a swordfish attacked Elvin. And then he sends, as Leanne says, he sounds like he's quite desperate. 3 days later, this guy's...
he really wants the mothership.
He really wanted their money, clearly. Any progress? For your info, deepest depth for sperm whales less than 3,000 meters, and we are larger than its mouth can open. And then he sends a link. And the father replies, not yet. I'm really not concerned about getting eaten by a whale. I'll set up a Skype call to answer questions. So, I mean,
they ended up not going, right? But Stockton still said, I'll even give you a discount. So you said, okay, maybe he's really into the money. He even offered them a last minute price of $150,000. Remember, they were paying.
Wait. This submarine, the size of a minibus, and this guy is haggling like a minibus.
Like a minibus taxi.
It's like, my minibus, I am. Like, come in. Like, what is this? This was.
He then even flew to where these people live, and spoke to them in person, and said, "Come on, guys, we can do this." Why?
Very keen to have them.
Weird. Anyway, eventually, this Bloom guy said, look, we've had to postpone. He eventually just made up a lie and said,
I still reckon that kid should run onto the playground today at his school and give that other kid a hug. The one who gave him this
can he run
sperm whale info. He should learn. I mean, he has just been handed a second chance.
A second chance to eat that burger
to get his life in order. Unbelievable, though. I mean, listen, it's a fascinating story here. It really is. And I think that's why it grabs people's imaginations like it has. Because people die in stupid ways all over the world every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Some idiot right now, possibly even someone listening to us, has just dropped their hairdryer into the fucking bath. And that's the end of them. No one's going to make a movie about that with Celine Dion singing.
I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go.
Yeah, because you can't let go because it's electric.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. What else did I miss?
I have a little bit of news.
Oh, what?
And
Go on.
It doesn't really interest anybody, but I thought it might interest you, Gareth. Seeing as you like a little bit of fodder with which to use to laugh at people's circumstances.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't like that?
And because you and I are so close in age, being 2 months apart, and we tend to look around at people our age and compare ourselves and say, well, I'm doing quite well because of this, and I'm not doing so well.
You're setting up some Schadenfreude here in a big way. So who's dead?
No one's dead. But I'm sure you'll enjoy to know that in 10 days' time,
You've really hyped this up, Leanne.
Go on.
In 10 days' time, I'm having a hip replacement.
You old crone, a hip replacement. What the fuck is wrong with your old one? What's wrong with your old one?
Oh, Lordy.
What's not wrong with it if you're having replaced?
My surgeon said, he looked at my name and he said, and after a while of listening to me, he said, oh, you're the Leanne, you know how the story goes. And I said, actually, he said, how's Gareth Cliff, etc. I said, well, he's on holiday at the moment, but I'm about to give him a really big gift thanks to you. You've given him the gift of me telling him that I have to have a replacement.
Look, but at the same time, it doesn't give me any joy. I mean, you and I are the same age, and you've had a lot of health problems and concerns, and you've had to deal with a lot in the family and relationship shit. I don't take any joy in your misery. I just think like the stereotype that we always play up of you being this old cat lady. Like you are living up to that. You have embraced your scripted character like no one on earth. I mean, you really are living
the spinster life.
Whoever the great producer, director, writer in the sky is, like they gave you the script and you are just fulfilling every corner of it.
But Leanne, if you're getting a a hip replacement, get the titanium one. It's 20 years.
Don't get a wooden one. Won't be a good one. Please don't get the wood. No matter how much they tell you it'll save money, do not get the wooden one.
Go for the best.
We go for titanium. We go for pink ceramic these days. The ball is made out of pink ceramic. So I've seen all the tools, and I've got all the goodies.
She's got the brochure. So most of us are going to be looking at like a brochure of what we might want to do for our holiday at the end of the year, and Leanne is looking at a brochure of pink ceramic hip replacements.
This pamphlet is because I'll be donating my femoral head to be used to make a difference for other people and to science.
Yeah, I hate to jump on the obvious one here, but that'll be the first time you give head in a long time.
So yeah, I've had a week of MRIs and X-rays and all the rest of it. And I was saying last week, Gareth, when you weren't here,
have you been in pain for a long time?
Yeah, 2 years proper, 2 to 5 years. So
I'm surprised no one has brought up the pump bed and whether that's the reason that you've had to, because maybe that pump bed had terrible springs and got overused, and maybe that messed your hips up in the long run.
So interestingly enough, it's something that's not that common, and that's why it's happened so young. It's called osteonecrosis. It's a bone disease.
Sounds horrible. Bakabantu, help us with that.
Osteo from the word bone, necrosis, death, so bone death.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, so your bone was rotting.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, and you weren't creating enough new bone. So like women generally get osteoporosis because over time you guys need calcium supplements because you guys run through calcium. Because with puberty,
they use it up like husband's money.
So they use it like husband's money. You don't have more osteoporosis.
It's not osteoporosis, and it's not osteoarthritis. Osteonecrosis, in this case, caused by the overuse of cortisol steroids.
Yeah.
And that is in my asthma.
I knew you were on steroids. That's why you've always been so ripped.
Yeah.
So jacked.
Ever since my balls started shrinking, I've changed my script.
Is this then? I mean, if it happens to women and particularly young women,
doesn't happen to women. No, it's not women.
So if it's steroid linked, I mean, this could also be something that guys who are into steroids should worry about, right?
No, they're cortical steroids. So those steroids. Like prednisone, used for allergies, anti-inflammatories, those sorts of things.
Oh my God.
Corticosteroids treat what? Autoimmune disease. So basically they suppress your immune system.
So basically what happens is it prevents...
I'm so glad that you two are more informed on this than me, or we'd be sued by somebody.
It affects the blood flow that to the extreme parts of the bone, particularly the femoral head. And because of the loss of blood, the bone just becomes necrotic and dies.
Oh, it's horrible.
So he'll be cutting off the entire femoral head, inserting the replacement into the shaft, into the bone.
I hate to... Okay, so I hate to.
So you're losing your head and you're putting something into the shaft.
Yeah,
I'm just getting that right.
Into the bone.
You almost think she was getting a penis replacement here. So Leanne, I mean, they're basically going to have to dislocate your hip.
No, that's only if you go in the back entrance. They've changed it now. You can now have a frontal incision where they separate the muscle, so they don't even cut through muscle. So, no dislocation necessary.
So does this make you think that maybe you were taking a lot of drugs you didn't have to?
No, the thing is, I have asthma, right? So I don't want to show any brand names, but you're talking inhalers.
Is that what gave it to you, you think?
Oh, is that Leanne, is that the one that sounds like a drill that goes...
No.
That AccuHaler. Yeah, there's this one that sounds like a drill.
No, it's not
really
that.
Strong.
This is just a tick sound. Also because of the pain and a misdiagnosis a while back from an osteosurgeon, orthopedic surgeon, I was using anti-inflammatories instead of getting the problem sorted. So the previous orthopedic surgeon I went to put me on the bed, moved my one leg up and down and said, "You're fine. And I think it's because of the trauma that you've been through. You're carrying a lot of emotion in your hips."
Oh my God, what a stupid doctor. That doctor must be fired immediately. When doctors start talking about carrying emotion in your hips, they're not doctors. That's not a doctor. That's a witch or a wizard or a soothsayer.
I have this beef. I used to have this course, and when I used to go to school, called homeopathy. I'm like, you're basically teaching people to be sangomas here. Like, by homeopathy is like home remedies and dirat if you're Afrikaans.
Yeah, boererat. Yeah. So Leanne, I'm sorry, but like they're going to have to take the head out. They're going to have to dislocate it. There's no way you can.
Gareth, they just pull it out.
Jesus, that's going to be. Are you going to be under a general anesthetic? Have to,
two
right?
types, like spinal and general.
But
that's not the big part, really. The big part is that they're now using another. You've got the ball, but the holder of the ball which has spikes on it, gets pushed into the pelvis, into the hip, and then a plastic lining to receive the ball.
I'm so pleased we've worked together and that we've had this time with each other, because I think you're going to die. This is horrible.
No, she's not going to die, man. There's not even enough blood.
Oh, it's horrible.
But funny enough, with the corticosteroids, fun fact, I don't think a lot of people know this. So blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells are made in basically in your long bones. Yeah, in your
marrow.
In your marrow.
Yeah.
And the femur is one of the bones. So it makes sense what you're saying. The steroids lowered your white blood cells, and then your bones started to rot there at the top there. Makes sense.
Well, listen, it started off, she brought this up to be funny. But I mean, it's a serious thing. So when are you going in?
Next week, Thursday.
Okay, and then how long are you off for? Because that's really all I'm worried about.
No, I'll be doing the show. I have no problem doing the show.
I'm kidding. All right, so we'll send you a get well soon card and some flowers or something. All right.
No, I'm just more excited more than anything to not have pain.
About
That's what I'm really excited about.
No, you're excited about the stuff they're going to give you during the operation, because you're going to feel like $1 million. Oof.
Listen, that only not during the operation. After is probably what's more like it. Or the pre-meds. Nice. The last time I had pre-meds, I ended up putting the surgical panties on my head, thinking it was a shower cap.
Can we not get you to do the show that day?
That day, just after the operation. They just woke you up. They told you it's successful, and they're like, "Yeah, come through."
Well, I'll get my brother to perhaps record me, and then I'll share that with you.
Jeez, yeah.
But like,
and then 2 months later, we go on to the other hip. So I'm in phase 3 of osteonecrosis on the left, phase 2 on the right. So phase 2 is actually salvageable, and the way they salvage it is they go in and scrape off. It's called decompression. They scrape off the necrotic bone, and then they use an artificial bone graft, and put that on top.
Well, that's what I think Hanan is talking about here. She says the hip is probably already luxated. Also, you can scoop the head out using a hut spoon. That sounds like something so awful.
The hut spoon will be used on the second op 2 months later.
So a lot of people giving you some advice here. Only Leanne Mole would be excited to get a hip replacement, says Congo Chris. And Steve says, please shave first. That's important.
So you're not allowed to shave or wax the week lead.
Because you could get infections. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're not a gorilla. I mean, if you shave the week before, you'll still look okay. What if you've got a hot doctor? You got to look as good as possible.
I'm Scottish upstairs, but I'm Portuguese downstairs.
Heavy going. All right.
So the carpet does not match the drapes.
Leanne, we've got to clean up that situation. I mean, you don't want the...
We need a weed whacker there.
I'll be going this week for the wax and all of that. And you get given special stuff to shower with the night before and the night after, and they show pictures of where you should wash, like under your arms and your groin.
Very good. That's good. I'm all for it.
Yes, I'll do all the prep.
All right, good.
But yeah, looking forward to being able to walk without taking anti-inflammatories. That'll be cool. And that's the reason why I couldn't be in studio with you guys today, because it would have taken me 4 hours just to get from my car to the studio.
I just assumed you were lazy. That's how horrible I am. So now I take it all back.
Yeah, no, it's pretty painful.
All right, well, I'm pleased you told us about that, but I'm sorry you have to go through this. That's shitty at 45. But what do they say after that? You'll be able to like shake it like Shakira?
Oh yeah. After that,
are you running marathons like what, Oscar Pistorius?
No, because running the marathon is going to stuff up the other joints, so it won't be running. But I'll be able to get back into, walking and being able to open my legs. Those are the most two important
things.
That's
very important.
Priorities.
What matters more than that?
Opening your legs.
Yeah, opening your legs is kind of a big deal. I mean, you've been on a hiatus on that front for a while.
Yeah,
and then you have the wax to add on.
You thought I was being just like ethical and taking a sabbatical from sex, but it's just
just pose. If something terrible happens during the operation, just pose so we can use this as your in memoriam photo. You ready? 1, 2. That's the one we're using. That's beautiful. It looks like it.
Before and after. Before, after.
All right. Oh, shit, Leanne. All right. Very good. I'm glad that you told us that.
I knew you would enjoy that.
Holy fuck. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm kind of... I heard Cyril was in Poland and they didn't let him leave the plane because he had a whole bunch of soldiers on board or something. What kind of... Who's helping Cyril to make these brilliant decisions of his? Or is it all just... kind of, guys, let's all hop on this plane, which, by the way, they had to rent, apparently.
Yeah, because
we don't have an air force.
Remember, this is all in aid of Cyril going to talk about how to fix up the Russian-Ukraine situation.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's actually about the US government forcing Cyril to mediate the South African government's response to the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict, because you're not allowed to be pro-Russia, according to America, right? Which I don't want to get into now, but that infuriates me. Like, Russia's definitely the bad guy. Ukraine's definitely the good guy. This is so binary. Let's kill more of each other. That's what America's telling the world. And everybody just has to walk in lockstep to that, which is just such nonsense. I'm in no way a fan of Vladimir Putin. I don't think anyone on earth is. But the fact that Joe Biden and his government are perfectly happy to sacrifice not only millions of Russian men, but millions of Ukrainian men in the bloom, in the best period of their lives, in their youth, at their greatest vitality. They're prepared to send these people to death over essentially debt, arms deals, and absolute nonsense about Ukrainian democracy. Like, the average American citizen gives a damn about Ukrainian democracy. And the fact that we're even having this conversation then brings why we had to open our stupid mouths and why we had to be involved in any way in this is beyond me. We could have stayed out of it.
We couldn't have stayed out of it, Gareth, because you need to remember that BRICS has a small S called South Africa, and then also we have our, what do you call it? We have our struggle NV cadres like Julius Malema, who believe that Russia and the Russian way is the future, and blah blah blah, etc., etc.
No,
so we're
right.
emotionally invested in this.
So we're children.
Yes,
we're children, and we couldn't help overhearing the adults at the table, and then we said we want to get involved too.
Exactly. And Cyril is stuck between a hard rock and a hard place. He has US dollars, and South Africa is very pro-Russia.
Right. So So in other words, this is just the worst. So now he's trying to fix this by making it worse.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, no. He's trying to fix it, but
him
fixing it is making it worse, like everything else.
It should be understood where Africa has evolved up to. We want to be key players on the world stage, want to be key players even in the financial markets and in the MDBs.
Oh, that's so convincing. Didn't he convince you? Wasn't that inspiring? Didn't you believe every word he said?
We want
blew my
to
hair
be.
back.
We want to be. It's like such a piss poor soft cock attempt at impressing the world. And then he says this, which is quite interesting.
That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals. Even in the multilateral institutions, we want to be treated as equals. And if our equity is at a low ebb, there must be ways in which that can be addressed. To us, this is very important. Our sovereignty is one of the things that we hold on dearly to. And
this guy is just so unimpressive. First of all, I mean, what do you want to say before I unload on this?
He speaks so well, Gareth. He speaks so well. Okay,
but he doesn't even. He's talking in complete platitudes.
He's talking. He's political speak. It's air. It's hot air. He's not saying anything.
This is someone who's sat in meetings his whole life long.
Yeah. No. So the thing is with Cyril, he's saying all the right buzzwords for these people, but at the end of the day, what matters is what he actually will do. What he actually will do, he'll take their money. He will sell us for short. He'll sell our minerals. He'll sell Africa. Or everything he's saying is a lie. It's all, what do you call it? It's play acting.
And again, without being too obvious about, he's at the children's table, and he's basically saying, "Please pick me up and put me at the adults' table."
Yeah, he's a beggar king,
which is begging, right?
Yeah, he's a beggar king. He is acting like a king, meanwhile holding his hat out and saying, I don't want you to give me this money because I want to. I want you to give this money because you want to give me this money."
And did you see the expressions on the other people's faces?
Unimpressed.
They were like, "Please shut up so we can."
Oh, wait, I hope JJ Cornish speaks about this. You know about the Wagner group, right? This Russian militia.
Yeah.
This Russian militia has apparently, like, Putin has lost control of this Russian militia, and they could be siding with the Ukraine. But like JJ Cornish could speak more about that. Yeah, cool.
So what I've heard, this is from a Russian person, right? They shared a video expressing their opinion on this, and they said that Russians know the real reason why Wagner has actually become involved in this, and it's actually quite funny. So Wagner, in order for Wagner to proceed...
Wagner Group is, by the way, just a bunch of miscreants from inside of Russia that have been employed
by about 50,000 people.
Yeah, they've been bought up from prisons. They're ex-military people, a lot of them. And a lot of them are deployed here in Africa, in places like the Central African Republic,
Somalia.
In fact,
every country has been dismantled. By the Wagner Group.
The guy to ask about this is LJ Fenter, who we had on the show. And he was the one who told me about them long before any of this. And a lot of these people are also being deployed in the Ukraine. Some of them are just cannon fodder.
They literally dismantle governments.
So they proceed with this advancement towards Moscow, and because of that and this perceived threat, they were in cahoots with Russia on this. They made it a perceived threat, right? Because of this perceived threat, which is why they got 200 kilometers out of Moscow and then turned back and went back to the forest. Is because that's as far as they had to go in order for Moscow to enact these certain rules which allow them to search any vehicle, any public vehicle, walk into any house without a warrant or anything like that, tap people's phones, listen to email conversations. All of these have now been opened up because of protocol of being under attack. But they did that on purpose to allow the Russian government to be able to do these things. So they're working in cahoots. It wasn't like they were against or trying to take over.
I thought this whole thing was overplayed too, but I didn't know very much more than that. I'm pretty sure. Look, Vladimir Putin has actually outmaneuvered a lot of people in the West, but he's also done so in circumstances that if you were living in South Africa and Lesotho said they just wanted to annex a piece of the Free State, we would be within our rights to go in and fight with Lesotho, right? So that's the Ukrainian point of view. Similarly, if I can't even use Lesotho and South Africa as examples because we're not even, between us, we don't have enough soldiers to put on more than a, Isandlwana would look like a bigger engagement, frankly. And that was in the 1800s.
Redance.
I'm telling you, that's what it would be like. It would be like a tiny little skirmish if we had to go. Yeah. And remember last time when Mangosuthu stood in as president during Thabo Mbeki's administration, Lesotho did apparently invade for all of 5 minutes, and we couldn't get our shit together. So there is an actual.
Couldn't rub two stones together to build up a mount up.
There's a historical precedent.
We already have them surrounded, right?
But if Lesotho decided to put rockets right on the border and point them at, I don't know.
What they have the Eastern Cape.
Clarence.
Yeah. They have the Eastern Cape. They have Free State. If they
decided to point rockets at Clarence, we would consider that a major reason, a cause, a casus belli, a reason to go to war with them.
It is.
So when there's no good guy in this fight. That's what I was saying earlier. And by the way, Congo Chris makes a good point that I'm also hearing more and more people talk about, even though very few in the international community will acknowledge it, how JP Morgan Chase and BlackRock, which is, of course, it is not some conspiracy theory that BlackRock is this major multinational corporation that controls everything. It actually does. Go and look it up. There's enough evidence online now for you to be able to see this for yourself. You don't need to believe me. They launched the Ukrainian Reconstruction Bank, thereby giving them a profiteering racket monopoly on that country. And remember, with every bit of money or ammunition or material supply that goes into Ukraine, the US makes them more their servant.
This is why I always ask people, why is China interested in South Africa? Why is China interested in Africa? What does China not have that we have? Minerals. What do we get if all our roads are Chinese made? Fact. So what do they get in return? They get a stake in the country. And we are also involved in that. So this is the same thing here. The US is embedded in the Ukraine.
All right.
Hunter Biden did all the things.
I hate to move. Yeah, Hunter Biden. We'll talk about that just now. Oh my God. Let's get to Dr. Hanan first of all, because this always happens on a Monday. We end up being diverted down this and that tangent, and all of it's fun, but we actually have to pay attention to something else on a Monday, which is our mental health. And it's going to be okay, is what we say on a Monday, because a lot of people are having a tough time in the world at the moment, particularly in South Africa. I mean, there are lots of people who are going through a lot of shit. So Dr. Hanan Bushkin, who's a renowned psychologist and the head of the Anxiety and Trauma Clinic in Johannesburg, he's also our live-in shrink. Today we're speaking to Kevin, and he is not going to be on video, but he wants to ask Dr. Hanan for some help. And I'm going to let him take control of this here because I don't want to put words in his mouth. So I'm going to put you on first. Kevin, nice to have you on. We're not going to give you a real name, so you don't have to worry about that. You feeling all right this morning?
Yeah, morning. Feeling well, thank you. You guys?
Good. All right, Kevin, I'm going to put you on with Dr. Hanan, and you can put your questions directly to him, all right?
Okay, cool.
Good. Dr. Hanan, nice to see you. Go ahead, you're talking to Kevin.
Kevin, go for it. Tell me the story.
Yeah, Dr. Hanan, I've been in I don't know if you would call it a relationship with this girl. I met her many years ago, and I sort of fancied her from the time when I first saw her. And because I've been in a relationship, I've never pursued anything with her. She is someone who is local. Where she comes to visit her folks, she's like a swallow that comes out. She actually works and lives overseas. And this year she was here with her folks, and I had broken up with my girlfriend, and we got to seeing quite a bit of each other. And yeah, it's just she kind of
Come on, Kevin. Out with it, Kevin. Don't hold back on us. Go on.
Yeah. She always said to me she couldn't, like, she's going back overseas, so she can't go out with me. And but whenever we were together, she'd want to hug me. She'd hold my hand. We'd hold hands. We'd sit on the couch, just like boyfriend, girlfriend.
No anal.
No anal. And Yeah, so, things sort of progressed. It got a little bit more intimate. I don't know, for her, kissing on the mouth seemed to be a no-no. You could kiss her in the cheek, and we did kiss, but
All right.
to me
Very
it seemed
romantic.
more like to her that it was, more like being intimate, more like maybe, I don't know whether she regards that more like sex or whatever. Okay, she is a 50-year-old woman. She's never been married. Her aim was to get married in life and to have children, and that never happened. So overseas, where she's been living she's been there since the 90s. She's been all over the world, successful businesswoman. She decided to go back and live with her brother in Ireland so that she could be close to her nieces, because her nieces to her were like the next best thing after children. And I suppose she did always say to me that she is going back overseas, so she can't commit to a relationship. But things did get we did get very close, and the more we saw each other, the closer we got.
Kevin, I mean, this is actually a very nice love story, but we want to try and get to the problem here. So what do you need Dr. Hanan to help you with?
No, I want to know, am I wasting my time with this woman? We speak every day on WhatsApp. We calls, video calls. And the other day I asked her, I said, are we in a relationship? Are you my girlfriend? Am I your boyfriend? And she said, no, well, she can't come back to South Africa. That's her life. But then she confuses me, because other times she just carries on as if, calls me babe.
Kevin, I'm not the professional, but I think you should move on. Anyway, Dr. Hanan's the real professional. You talk to him.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
So Kevin, let me ask you first of all, she's 50, she's in her 50s. How old are you?
I'm 62.
62. And you've been married before? Has she been married before?
She's never been married, no.
Mm-hmm. Have you been married before?
I've been married twice.
Okay. And when you ask her, are we together? She said, no, we're not. You're not my boyfriend. I'm not your girlfriend, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But
she
did say,
yes.
Yeah. No, I'll say she did say to me, if I get involved with someone else, I mustn't forget about her. She still wants to be someone that she can speak to. But I said that's not going to happen. If I get involved with someone else, they're not going to be happy with me speaking to you every day.
But Kevin, I want to ask you. So you're asking me whether you should pursue this relationship, but when you ask her, the person who you want to be in a relationship with, she's saying no. The source is telling you, no, you should not pursue me because you need to move on. Sure, she's saying, don't forget about me. There's still a certain level of superficial intimacy. But she's saying, no, don't count on me to be there because I don't see you as a prominent or a significant or a long-term thing in my world. So if she's telling you this, why would you not trust what she's saying?
Because she still wants me in her life, and she has said the last sort of one of the last meetings we had before she left, she said to me then that she can see a future with me. She could feel what it would be like, and and she also, when she gets overseas, she's got like a switch where she says she can turn off missing people, so she doesn't miss her folks. She doesn't, when she's here, she turns off missing the folks where she lives. So it kind of confuses me.
So she lives in Ireland now. When are you hoping to see each other again?
Well, I had planned a cruise, which I had hoped she would come on with me, and she still hasn't given me an answer. She said she'll give me an answer like early July, and she ums and ahs, and 1 minute she kind of sounds like she will come, then she won't come.
Oh, Kevin.
Because she says
Kevin.
if she, yeah.
Kevin, there are plenty of Russian prostitutes that come with you instead.
Kevin, look, the reality is that to make a relationship work, there has to be a couple of non-negotiable fundamentals, and one of them is you both have to carry the same vision. You both want the same thing. You want to want each other, and it seems as though to me that you are in pursuit of this relationship, whilst your partner or potential partner is not. The fact that you see her as a certainty, but she sees you as an option. Think about it. She verbally says to you, don't count on me to be there. I'm not your girlfriend. She is not committed to the cruise that you want to book towards the end of the year. She's not committed to it. Intimacy has a glass ceiling. In other words, she's not prepared to take her that way or to that level. There are many red flags that are presented in this relationship that stops you from moving forward. Now, the reality is that there are two issues for me. Number one is that because you have a history and you've known her for a long time, you think that history really matters now. So you're living out a potential fairy tale and hope that because of your history, you'd end up together. And second of all, you want to believe the fantasy. So you want to believe that there's a happily ever after. You want to believe that you'll end up together. But I question that because you don't have a partner that's fighting for you. I always say to people, don't be in a relationship that tolerates you, be in a relationship that celebrates you. And it seems as though you're an option as opposed to a sure thing in the future. What I would say before you create the disconnect, I would sit down and I would write down your list of non-negotiables. What is it that you want from a long-term partner, assuming you see her as a potential long-term partner, not just as a superficial one-night stand or short-term goal? If you see her as a long-term partner, write down your top 5, 10, 15 non-negotiables that you expect from her. And then what I would do, because she lives overseas, I mean, how often do you get to see each other? Write down these things and communicate and ask her, is it a yes, or is it a maybe, or is it a no? Now, I want to tell you something. If it's a maybe or a no, it's a no. If it's a maybe or a no, it's a no. Because a lot of people that have commitment issues are not willing to say no because they don't want to lose the potential, but they keep you on the fence for a year, for 2 years, for 5 years. I've seen some relationships that are on the fence for 40 years. Wow. It is, and you know this, it is, being on the fence is disgusting. Psychologically, It's incredibly traumatizing. I would rather you push her into a position where she says, well, I can't do this anymore, than sit on the fence. Now, you might think to yourself, if I do set these boundaries with her, I might lose her. Well, let me put it to you this way. You were going to lose her then anyway. So I would set the boundaries. I would tell her exactly what is expected. I would get her to answer yes or no. If it's a maybe, it's a no. And if it's a yes, these things that she's prepared to fulfill, I would go for it. And if it's no, then I would call it, irrespective of the fantasy that you're holding on to.
What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, and I think I've kind of always kind of known that. But yeah, she does send out different signals that kind of
that's the problem.
Make you think.
That's the problem. Yeah. But that's what keeps you stuck. That's what keeps you stuck.
Man.
It's the promise and the hope of what will come up later on. Just hang in there. But the problem is, being 62, you might hang in there for the next 20, 30 years. And look back and go, I wish I did, I wish I hadn't, I wish I'd done. Yeah, it might be too late.
Kevin, I hope you're listening to Dr. Hanan here. This is good advice. And dude, you've still got some time to go and meet someone and be with someone who really cares about you and who you can care about. This doesn't have to be your story.
100%.
Yeah. No, thanks, guys. Thanks for that.
All right, man. Yeah, good for you. And thank you for coming on and trusting us with this, even though I'm an asshole. Dr. Hanan really, he has some good advice, and that's why we keep him around. He's much smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, dude. All right. Good luck to you, and I hope it goes well. Keep us informed. Let us know what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my bro. Bye-bye. Bye. Wow, it's a tough one. Hey, Doc. Yeah.
You would never, ever be my apprentice here, ever.
No, I couldn't. Please, you'd have suicides. You'd have people screaming down the street with their hair on fire. It'd be a disaster. But I'll tell you something.
Just sit here for a minute, and you would say, "Come on, get on with it. Get on with it."
Right. But I do listen to you, and you make a lot of sense, and you teach me things every time we do this on a Monday. I mean, what you said about a maybe is always just take it as a no. That is so right. It just seems to me like so many of us, including me, have at various points in our lives thought that, but maybe that maybe will turn into a yes, and they never do.
Why do you be someone's maybe? You want to be someone's yes.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want? What is it?
You want full commitment, man, especially for Kevin. Kevin breaks my heart because he's old. Like, you can't be playing games. You can't be from the friend zone at 60, man. Yeah, I don't know. He breaks my heart, though. He breaks my heart.
Well, it's not like you're in a happy relationship.
We don't know that. I neither confirm nor deny this.
All right, very good. Listen, Doc, we'll check in with you in a week's time. All right.
Look forward to it. See you. Bye, guys.
Lovely to see you. There's Dr. Hanan. Oh, that's great. All right, well, let's hope Kevin takes the advice and maybe we have a beautiful story at the end of all of this. You never know, right? And you're never too old, Bakabantu.
No. Kevin needs to get on like Ukraine side.
If he carries on like this, he's too old. But if he changes it today, next week, he's still got time.
Go on that Ukraine site, buy mail order bride.
Yeah, I mean, they're desperate to get out of there.
Exactly. He's willing to get a cruise. Come on, Kev has money.
Right, Kev, dude.
Kev, this woman would love you for the next 60 years.
See, you're with me. People thought I was being facetious when I said you get a Russian bride or a Ukrainian bride. Let me tell you, Svetlana is looking for an out. You're looking for an in.
You get 20 years, Kev. You get a beautiful woman. She was 50.
Even if she leaves you after 10, you get 10 beautiful years with someone who's way out of your league.
Svetlana will love you. Yeah. Svetlana loves you every day. Svetlana gives you hair.
You just give her a credit card. You give her a credit card, she give you love. Nice trade. You be quiet, Miss Hip Replacement. It's not like you.
Well, Leanne, after the hip replacement gets to open. Oh, no.
Yeah. After the hip replacement, Leanne, you're in the money.
Kevin's doing a whole lot more than I am at this stage, that's for sure.
All right, we'll be back in a minute.
Up next in the Auto Trader podcast. The thing you should do, right, is say to the dealer, all right, I like this bank's deal, but the interest rate doesn't suit me. Please, can you push for more?
Okay.
And the dealer will do it for you.
Yeah.
Remember, dealer has a relationship with the bank. You don't.
With all the banks.
Yes, with all the banks.
Yeah.
Chances are, if you choose the bank that dealer does most of the business with,
it's going to be a bit lower than...
That bank is going to be able to reduce the rate on the dealer's request. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
The latest hack of the United States Navy was done by home routers of members of the United States Navy. So the United States Navy got hacked by a cheap home router that the ISP had provided a guy that had outdated firmware that was never being updated, and the whole security of the United States was compromised in a very simple manner. So it is a very large problem. And right now, home routers are...
And it's the business's problem. It's not the home user, like you say, if the power goes out, they go stand outside in the sun and smoke or whatever.
Correct.
But as the business, it's your problem.
It's your... So one of the benefits, remember the visibility tool I said to you, where you can see the network and you see the performance and you can see all that. Anybody who manages that business network, our product actually empowers them to then have a look at connectivity at every one of the employees' sites. So you will know if there's an issue, employee keeps complaining that my area has gone down. You would have complete visibility of that. The brave doesn't have to tell you. You'd be able to see what's happened on the site. Is it being, what do we need to do? So I think the visibility tool, anybody who manages a large network of employees, Ronald, the product will definitely reduce support costs and empower them to actually identify problems at the individual site.
What's that saying? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Unbundled, brought to you by Catalytic, a series that aims to demystify technology so that you can make smarter decisions for your business. Remember that you can listen to all of the episodes on the Cliff Central app or website, and for added convenience, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen. And if you're looking for help with communications tools in your business, please visit catalytic.co.za.
Awesome. Nice new ad for Catalytic and Unbundled with Yaku, and I'm very pleased to see the team are hard at work while I was away. Leanne Moll's here, Bakabantuka is here, and we're all looking after you this morning. So we've got a lot to get through, and we've got a lot to talk about, and Dr. Hanan just helped somebody, hopefully, to make some decisions with respect to his relationships. And I think, if you've got questions, you should let us know. We can put you on the line with him and he can help you. You can go on anonymously. Kevin wasn't his real name. And you can come on and share your story and you get some first-class advice from someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
Even if you just write it as an email and then Dr. Hanan gets to answer like broad questions, we hit the points, general feeling.
Stop being an idiot. Stop being an idiot and going around in circles. Let us help you.
Well, we have Dr. Hanan. Dr. Hanan is the best and he's free.
Right, exactly. All right. We got lots to get to today. Mandela met Grasa at 82 and they were like teenagers in love together, says Fatima. That is correct. Yeah, that is true. It's never too late to fall in love. And falling in love will keep you young and happy.
Oh, Gareth, did you fall in love in Greece?
No, don't get carried away. Not carried away. Even if I did, the cold reality of Johannesburg has put everything to bed. Yeah, Jesus. I got here yesterday morning, landed at about 6:30 in the morning, and had to wait for the Gautrain because that's always the best way to get out of the airport. Yeah. And it was chilly, man. I come from this warm midsummer because it's, you just had winter solstice and I was in summer solstice there. So you go from one extreme to the other. I was like, oh man, this is not what I signed up for, but it is.
It's colder. It's colder than a brass toilet seat on the shady side of an iceberg.
That's a good metaphor. I like it. I like that very much. All right, we got a couple of things that we've got to talk about today. First of all, Max Sony says, and I agree with this, I concur with it, it's beautiful. The team held down the fort quite well last week. Maybe Mark was on tick, though, lol. Yes, what?
Well, that's Mark Maluli, though.
Yeah, probably.
That is him.
Even the tick takers need a place to
put up the Congo Chris one. I have a very funny anecdote for that one.
Mandela also had a thing with Queen Liz, but that was purely sexual.
So Mandela tells this funny story. He tells it in his voice. He's like, so the first time he meets Queen Elizabeth, they introduce him, they give him the entire thing. Mm-hmm. You're going to call her Majesty. You're going to call her this. You're going to call her that. And then Liz walks up. She's like, Nelson. And then she's like, Elizabeth. And then everyone is shocked in the room. Is like, well, she didn't call me president. Why should I call her queen?
Exactly.
I'm like, there you go, Nelson Mandela.
That is how you present yourself as a non-beggar at the table. But you have to have Nelson Mandela levels of fame and confidence.
Of confidence, yep.
Which, of course, Cyril does not. Okay. Let's see. We've got a few other things coming up here, which we've got to address. There's some stories in the news that are worth talking about, too. Let's begin with this one. Lawyers fined for filing a bogus case law created by ChatGPT. Okay, now this is amazing because everybody's talking about how amazing ChatGPT is and how ChatGPT is going to take away human jobs and humans are going to find ways of doing things better because of ChatGPT. But a federal judge on Thursday imposed a $5,000 fine on two lawyers and a law firm in an unprecedented instance in which ChatGPT was blamed for their submission of fictitious legal research in an aviation injury claim. Judge P. Kevin Castell said they acted in bad faith, but he credited their apologies and remedial steps taken in explaining why harsher sanctions were not necessary. So these guys went on to ChatGPT and said, help me come up with a defense.
Yeah, they basically went up there. They clicked ChatGPT. I have this case.
Yeah, help me come up with the best possible.
Yeah, what cases are related to this? Like, what is it called? It's not discovery.
Precedent.
Yeah. So ChatGPT does this cool thing. It's weird, but it's pretty cool from my opinion. It makes up stuff. So it made up a bunch of cases.
Yeah, it does.
Made up a bunch of cases, and then the guys just filed that as precedent. And then it got picked up. But luckily for them, they picked it up before it went to case. There was a lawyer, I think like a month ago, who got caught in court. Like, dude, this doesn't exist.
You see, you can get away with this in the world of bullshit things like marketing or human sciences or any of that stuff, because no one's going to question it, because those people are just as stupid. But in law or in science, someone's going to find out, because they actually interrogate they will go to the first principles, they will go to the original situations, they will test them under laboratory conditions if necessary, or against case law in law. And they'll find that you're just talking nonsense.
But these guys caught it very early, and then they went in and apologized, and then they got sanctioned. Luckily, they didn't get stripped from the bar.
But it's still a terrible, terrible story, because ChatGPT is not going to solve all of your problems, is basically the rule.
But have you seen like this? Like they put in new controls on ChatGPT. So if you ask it something like, "Do you love me?" It's like, I am not allowed to answer that.
Okay, good. Because you know you're going to get people who will go on and do this, and they'll fall in love with their computer. There are already a lot of those things.
Probably already have. It's probably a done deal. There are people who are in full-on relationships with ChatGPT right now.
But this does show you as well that no matter how good ChatGPT gets, and no matter how many internet resources you use, there are still going to be people who can actually pull salient facts out of the air because they know them. They've learnt them. They've read these things. And then there are machines that will help cover the gaps that people who are unlearned.
Exactly. So now it's a big thing that people need to understand. I'm sure like the audience understands. With the progression of technology, it does not erase jobs. Technology does not replace jobs. People need to be reskilled and retaught new jobs.
Yeah, all those people who used to ride horse and carts in the 1800s when cars came along.
Yeah,
they didn't just disappear into a hole or suddenly start begging on the side of the road. They found other things.
Other things to do, because all of a sudden now you need a mechanic because the car breaks down. Right. Now you don't need a guy who replaces hooves. A hoof replacer.
A hoof replacement. Farrier. That's what you're looking for.
So you see now, the stuff like, you don't need a guy.
A hoof replacement person.
You don't need a pink ceramic hoof replacer. So you get there's a period where there will be a depression, but after the Industrial Revolution, people got new skills and the life carried on. And also AI, guys, Elon Musk makes a big deal of it, but we don't have true AI.
My one friend went from one career into a totally different career now at age, he's a year older than me, he's 46. And he started a completely different career last year. Totally different. Not at all like engaged in what he was doing before. And he is loving it. It's given him a new lease on life. He's very good at it. He's helping other people. And I think that just shows you how, again, you can do this right now. If you hate what you're doing and you really aren't finding any inspiration in it, and it's driving you crazy and people are irritating you or whatever else is going wrong, you can change your career now, wherever you are. You could be 19 and have just started, or you could be in your 60s. And you could be working for the same company forever. You have to have some tenacity. You have to be sure that your skills will be useful in your new job. You may have to learn some new skills, and you may have to find a market for it. But if you can do those things, you could do some really impressive stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's an adage, right? Like what is luck? Luck is when preparation meets something or another. I forget that.
Well, so Gary Player's old quote always comes up when people talk about luck.
Yeah.
Because he was used to say, well, you've got to practice an awful lot to get this lucky, or some derivation.
Luck is when where preparation meets opportunity, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We're obviously the quote people this morning. We were just talking about it. We used ChatGPT to look it up. I meant to bring something up a little earlier, but we've got the whole week to talk about it, I suppose. There are all sorts of reasons for people to be very down about the world right now, and I kind of understand it. You know, the economy is not great anywhere at this stage. People are they don't have extra cash lying around. By the way, we'll be talking to Markets Mondays a little bit later on, and Bryan Habana will be rejoining us. And it's only a little while until Bryan Habana is going to be one of those people giving us the info from the World Cup. But for this purpose today, he's going to be talking about money, and he's an investor, even though it's for him, he's an amateur.
Talking about big career changes there. I mean, he's living proof, and like he admits himself, he says, "I'm still learning myself."
Right. And I do think that there are massive opportunities in the world right now, and especially in a place like South Africa. We've got so many issues that need solving. You just think, for example, about these people who've started solar businesses. And look, some of them are complete fly-by-night. You can't trust them. They don't know what they're doing. They're installing absolute Hong Kong nonsense into your roof. Your house is probably going to burn down at some point. But a lot of them have learned in a very short space of time what is required. They have done the courses. These things are complicated, but they're not impossible to do. And these people are now making serious money.
They're making bank.
I spoke to a guy who said he's doing an installation every 3 days. Could even be every 2, but let's say 3 days. And these people are paying just south of 200,000 Rand an installation. His margin on that is maybe 40, 50 grand. Now, if you think about it, 40, 50 grand every 3 days.
Yeah.
That's his margin, right?
And what probably he's providing labor because you buy everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he's
pocketing.
Let's even take half of that.
Yeah.
If he's doing half of that, he's making 40 a week. That's not bad money.
That's not bad. Like in your pocket, that's not bad money.
Jeez.
That's not bad. Also,
I'll
like
take
for
that.
people with, for people with bonds, right? Like great advice. Like if you have a house bond, the bank actually offers an extension on your mortgage for you to put in solar panels and backup water or a borehole or a JoJo tank, whatever you want to go with. They add that 200 grand on your 1 million Rand house because in South Africa, that's value.
The point is that there is an opportunity in disaster and in a situation where people are needed, skills are needed to make things happen. And you can be that.
Look at how many online shopping places cropped up during COVID, and they still exist because people's habits changed, and they're still that way.
Yeah. No, I like this discussion. This is a very positive and optimistic thing. Oh, by the way, I listened to, because everybody was pressuring the hell out of me to listen to this, including Canthan. I had to listen to the Robert Kennedy Jr. interview on Joe Rogan.
The dark horse.
Now, this guy is fascinating. It's a long podcast to listen to, but he's an amazing, interesting human being. He's, first of all, very difficult to listen to because he's got that speech impediment. He talks like this, and if you can get over that, which I did luckily in the first couple of minutes, he's got some very curious insights into vaccines, into trusting the experts, into what he thinks happened to his father, Bobby Kennedy. Was murdered in that hotel lobby while he was running for governor of California or president.
The Kennedy curse.
Yeah. But what I found fascinating is he's dating. You remember Larry David's wife from Curb Your Enthusiasm? The actress who plays Cheryl Hines? That's his wife. That's Bobby Kennedy's wife. Out of everything, everyone was like, what do you think of this, Gareth? They're all telling me, you've got to listen to this interview because we want to hear what your thoughts are on vaccines or on the assassination of Bobby or John F. Kennedy, or what do you think of him as a Democratic front runner against Joe Biden? And all I got out of it, because I'm a moron, is he's with Larry David's wife from Curb Your Enthusiasm, not his real life wife. But
it would be so cool if you just played that theme right now.
Bang, 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 yeah, I love that show. Oh, I love that show so much. I've connected with people in ways that you can't believe just because they like that show.
But like Larry David is so human. It's so human. There's this episode, Leanne, where they're greeting this vet guy. So like there's 3 of them. He's like 4th in line. He goes in, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And then he goes in and is like, hi. And then
he doesn't thank
the soldier or the former vet for the service. He's like, well, 3 people thanked you.
And they all look at him. They all look at him like, and then, of course, Susie, who's the most objectionable, obnoxious, irritating, awful woman in the
Jewish stereotype.
Oh, she's just so terrible. She comes up and she goes, Larry, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you say thank him for his service? It's the funniest thing. He's sitting at a table with his friend Marty Funkhauser.
Yeah.
Shame the actor who plays Marty Funkhauser died last
year.
He
also has a speech thing.
Hey guys, I'm so excited. I'm going to London. So they all go, oh, that's great, Marty. You're going to go to London. His wife is sitting there, and they all saying, oh, London's fantastic, and you're going to love it, and it's you must be very excited about your trip. And Larry just goes, so are you going to the wife? And the wife goes, no, I don't really ever travel with Marty. And Marty he he sits up and he glares at Larry, right? And Larry goes, "You should go. London is beautiful this time of year." Marty's like, what are you doing, Larry? And the wife is like, "Oh, maybe I should go." And now suddenly the guy's whole trip to London is being ruined because his wife wants to come along. And everybody looks at him, and he screws up every situation he's ever in. I often think about him because in any number of situations where something can go wrong, he always chooses the worst one. And there are people in the world who are really like that. They actually are like that. They're rare and very funny, but if they're in your life, it can be a problem.
It could be a problem.
And I spoke to somebody about this show not so long ago, and everybody was saying to them, "You should watch this show." And I thought, no, this is the one friend who he won't enjoy this show because he's one of those people who doesn't like when things go wrong. Yeah. So he's going to watch it and it's just going to frustrate him from beginning to end.
Because he chooses the difficult solution in a simple situation.
Exactly. Let's just see if people are agreeing with us or whether we should upbraid them because they're not. Larry David actually introduced them to each other, something he regrets. Oh, really? Larry introduced Cheryl Hines to Bobby Kennedy Jr. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I do have to, let's be serious for a second. So after listening to the interview, it's the only one where I've actually paid any attention to Robert Kennedy Jr. But I will say I would love him to run against Biden. I think anything would be better than Biden.
But the Democrats are protecting Biden. You can't run against a sitting president. It makes you look weak.
Of course.
Also, Biden already does look weak. Bless you.
Look weak? He's pretty much a carcass. What are you talking about, look weak? I would love...
Talk about osteonecrosis.
Yeah, he's just...
Osteo all body necrosis.
Yeah, he's just total necrosis. I would love... First of all, imagining First Lady Cheryl Hines would be worth it for me. Gotta say.
Oh, we get Larry David out, the Secretary of State.
She is so funny. She is so funny. I'd love to see her as First Lady.
Straight.
If she was First Lady, it would be the perfect antidote on the Democrat side to Trump. Come on, let's think about this. We got a Kennedy. They're basically American royalty, right?
They are.
He's unconventional in most ways. He doesn't want wars. He doesn't want to be involved in all the shit that we hate about America. He's probably the most appealing Democrat I've ever seen since Clinton. And I only like Clinton because he was getting it on in the Oval Office.
The first black president.
And he could play the saxophone, black president.
We forget that Clinton was the first black president.
You know, they did a survey not so long ago, and Clinton came up more popular under African Americans than Obama.
Clinton actually did work for African Americans. I grew up just before Clinton, Bush era. That's my timeline. But my mom was a big Clinton fan. Yeah. So I know a lot about Clinton. He used to come to South Africa.
A lot of black women were really into him.
He was hot. He was hot. He played the saxophone. Also, a lot of women generally were into him. I mean, he did get head in the Oval. How many people can claim that?
in the oral office.
In the oral office.
Yeah.
And he had a way with people. I mean, listen, when I met him, he's very charming to be around. He's he gives you all the attention while he's talking to you. He's a very charming man. He knows what he's doing. And with women, he must melt their panties. I think that's what he did. That's what he did. You didn't like him?
No, after the surgery. After the surgery.
All right, Leanne, if you had to have, I know you're still working on getting that hip sorted so you can open your legs, but do tell me, if you had to sleep with a president of the United States.
Obama.
Really?
Oh, you should even think about it.
Even think about it.
Obama.
Well,
he's
I'm sure he
super
would.
sexy.
You like him, huh?
Yeah. Also, he's African, so we know what he's packing.
Yeah,
Kenya,
semi-African. Maybe the
Where's the birth certificate? That's all I'm saying.
Semi-African. But let's just. I wonder how many women would choose. I don't think a lot. You remember there was that thing they did when Al Gore ran against George W.
Yeah. And
more women found Al Gore attractive, and yet I think he didn't get as many of the female votes as he was bargaining.
So what they did with Al Gore,
that would speak in women's, to their credit, that they were able to put aside their attraction to someone.
No, but Bush ran on. He's a cool guy you can have a beer with.
Oh God.
And then he had Dick Cheney running the actual political machinery. So in terms of votes,
you were going to bring up Hunter Biden earlier. So here's my immediate entry point to the Hunter Biden discussion, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not a big deal. He's just, another one in a long line of president's kids who've misbehaved. I remember, you mentioned George W. Bush earlier. I remember when his daughters, Barbara and what was the other one's name? I was so into her because she was just Bush's daughter.
Yeah.
Do you remember Barbara and what was the other one? Laura. No, Laura's the wife.
Right.
Lauren. I can't remember. Anyway, these two daughters, right? Both not horribly unattractive, not like 20 out of 20 models, but they were good-looking girls. They were nice girls too. Remember how the media climbed into them and there were people screaming from the rooftops because they got drunk during college.
Barbara and Jenna.
Jenna Bush.
Jenna Bush can still get it.
God,
she's still hot.
Jenna Bush. Anyway, Barbara and Jenna Bush got drunk at college, which is something every girl except like Mormons and the most conservative girls on planet Earth. And even if they did, we wouldn't be upset with them because you're at college. If you don't get drunk at some point in your life, if you're going to do it, that's the time.
That's the time, yeah.
So these two women have both gone on, and they're women now. They're not young college girls. They've gone on to have happy families, got married, have children. One of them has a career in the media. I think it's Jenna. These are upstanding members of society, these two girls. They were not bad children while their father was president. Barack Obama's children behaved absolutely impeccably. As far as we can tell, there is not a single blemish on their image. Chelsea Clinton, she may have looked like a bag of spanners, but she never behaved badly, right? And then this Hunter Biden comes along. And by the way, Bush's children weren't so terrible. I mean, people didn't like the fact that they hunted and that kind of thing. They weren't awful, awful people who have low morals. They may be a little bit like they were spooning off of daddy's money and all, but all of these kids have.
But come on.
So along comes Hunter Biden. This is the most, and I don't think it's an exaggeration, and we can be 20 presidents into the future, and I don't think you're going to find another Hunter Biden. This guy is a deadbeat dad. He has a child with a hooker who he refuses to pay for. He is a crack cocaine addict.
I was going to say coke. He's coked up all the time. Yeah.
He's always on drugs, always. He is a complete derelict. He's never had a job.
All that gets him in the door
is his dad's name.
Yeah,
right.
Biden.
And people are like, oh no, but it's not such a big deal. If this isn't a big deal, nothing is. How are we meant to judge anybody if they can't even raise a child reasonably? Now, I've just mentioned George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan. You could go back as far as you like. There is no precedent for Hunter Biden. He is the worst child of a president.
Oh, wait. He has a challenger.
Who?
The first dog, Commander. Remember that?
Okay, first dog. First dog where it pisses and shits all over the place. But basically,
bites people. But they're doing the same thing.
Hunter's done that as well. I mean, Hunter, so forget that stuff for a minute, because I haven't even brought up the stuff he's criminally in line for here. Yeah. He threw away a gun, a handgun. I think it even had ammo in it.
Yeah, a loaded gun.
In a rubbish bin next to a high school.
Wow.
Do me a favor. Like, if that isn't the most atrocious, negligent behavior possible. He threw away the laptop, or he took it in for repairs.
Yeah, he took it and just forgot it.
Laptop.
Because it was claimed and lost and found.
The laptop with secret emails between him and Burisma in Ukraine with Chinese businessmen, where he talks about his father as the big man and he's doing deals, the most corrupt deals imaginable. And he doesn't even go back to. He's so high.
He's so high. He doesn't even.
He's so high. He doesn't even go and collect his laptop.
But also, it's the arrogance, Gareth. It's if I don't think it's the highness.
And by the way, how old is Hunter Biden?
He's stupid and arrogant because
he isn't.
He knows he's untouchable at this point because he's daddy's little boy.
Let's just see what they say about him in a biographical sense. Okay, so I just want to see what like Wikipedia might say about him.
Yeah, what does he look like on paper?
They say born 1970, so he's 7 years older than me. He's an American attorney, businessman, and artist. Attorney, businessman, and artist. He's also been a hedge fund, venture capital, and private equity fund investor. Bullshit.
well, he has invested. Well, he's taken money out of Ukraine.
He formerly worked as a lobbyist. You know what a lobbyist is, right? A lobbyist is someone who basically lawfully, in inverted commas, attempts to influence the actions of people in politics.
Funny enough, they can't call themselves lobbyists.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, they can't officially call themselves lobbyists, even though lobbyist is an actual title.
So he is the second son of Joe Biden. And by the way, he also, didn't he start banging his dead brother's wife? He did.
I'm so glad you added on wife.
Yes, no, he did. He started having sex with his dead brother, who was a war hero and exactly the opposite of Hunter. According to what we can find out, Bo, his brother, was actually not a bad guy. And
he didn't live long enough.
Yeah, he didn't die in battle, but he died had medical complications, probably as a result of battle. Anyway, Hunter Biden is just an absolute disaster. He knows nothing about oil and gas, by the way, which he was on the board of Burisma for, supposedly for oil and gas. This is such obvious nepotism, corruption. This is like Duduzane Zuma levels.
It is. What do you mean it's like? It is
Duduzane is a
level.
better person in every way than Hunter Biden is. As far as I know, Duduzane hasn't been sniffing the carpets in hotel rooms for what he thought was crack, but was actually Parmesan cheese. This actually happened. This happened to Hunter Biden. This guy is a disgrace. He really is. And the fact that people are even, because they're so desperate to keep the Democrats in and to support Joe, that they'll stand by this guy, makes them look terrible too, by association. What will you not accept? How much worse could a person be than Hunter Biden?
But the Democrats preach freedom, Gareth. So Hunter Biden's living his best life. It's freedom. He identifies as a crackhead. He was a businessman.
You know, I just do not know. So he did go to school, apparently. And he even went to Yale Law School.
Of course, he went to Yale.
We know how that works.
We know how that works. You have to donate a couple of grand here and there, and then you finesse your way in. No, what the Democrats, especially with the Hunter Biden situation, career politician uses dad's money. This is exactly what the Democrats had against the Donald kids, Trump's kids, except for Ivanka, because Ivanka was actually competent.
Yeah, she still is very smart.
What, Don Jr., stupid.
Yeah.
The other one, Eric, stupid.
I don't have a lot of time for them.
We didn't care for Barry. Sure. We didn't care for Barron. He was a kid. But they used their dad's name to get into power, to do this and to get that. But Hunter Biden has been doing this his whole life.
Yeah. He's been a drug addict his whole life.
Exactly. And he's been using daddy's name to run the world.
He has a lifelong struggle. They eventually say at the end of the article, lifelong struggle with drug and alcohol abuse. He's written a memoir called Beautiful Things. About 10 people have probably read it.
It's only 2 words long, alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, the beautiful and things. He believes his addiction can be linked back to trauma from a 1972 motor vehicle accident that killed his mother and sister. Oh, do me. What, you're still going to be blaming that?
Also, your brother died. He went to war and he still didn't.
Yeah, he didn't use that as an excuse. Over the past 2 decades, he's been in and out of rehab with long periods of sobriety followed by relapses. Following the death of his brother, his addiction escalated, and he claims to have been smoking crack every 15 minutes.
Wow. That takes up your day.
Have you ever met a crackhead? Like a proper crackhead? You see those homeless people who wander around going,
now imagine this guy is sitting on a board somewhere.
But a crackhead can't get, a street crackhead can't get it every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, you got this idiot who's sniffing lines off of hookers in hotel rooms with a gun and a laptop and doing deals with foreign governments. And somehow the crackhead on the street is a bigger problem? Remember Joe, by the way, to make this even worse. Oh, I feel like we're piling on, but we'll stop after this. But to make this even worse, Joe was one of the people who was most against drugs.
Yeah.
He was a major, major drug war guy. He was one of the people who was putting huge amounts of money and creating new legislation and funding the Food and Drug Administration. Come on. So he should have just pointed them at his son. He would have cut a quarter of the the war on drugs just by putting his son in jail. Surprised Hunter Biden didn't have a deal directly with old was the Colombian crack
Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar.
Probably did.
He probably did. Probably had him on speed dial, like the big guy. He had the big guy, and then he had Pablo. Yeah.
Pablo. Or as I call him, P. Big P.
Yeah, P, good quality C. Jesus. P, real number. You know when people have got dodgy things on their phone, they always have like names saved under strange pseudonyms.
I don't know if it's a black thing, but like, so when black guys cheat on their wives, like these are all black men. When black men cheat on their wives,
I could just say men, because I'm pretty sure what you're going to say is going to apply.
They save the girl as like the girl they're cheating with as like say a soccer team or outsurance or Holland.
Oh.
And then they'd be like, Holland, no, I can't talk right now.
That's clever. That is clever.
And then like the wife would be like, you're always getting calls around about, hey, it's this
I'll bet you Joe Biden has Hunter stored as insurance company or something on his phone.
Probably has it like as like red alert, DEFCON 5. When Hunter calls, you know it's DEFCON 5.
I'd love to walk into Hunter's hotel room, says Slippery Pickle, and throw a box of bicarbonate of soda all over the room. He'll sniff it all up, I'm telling you. Gray says, no, he's been sniffing the Colombian nose beers. Dudu was on the Penn show, and he claimed with absolute arrogance, started at the bottom, now I'm here. I know people hate Dudu Zanizuma, but as far as I can tell, he pays for the kids that he's got.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's the best dad in the world or the worst, but he can only be better than Hunter.
Yeah, like Hunter's the
bottom
of the barrel.
Hunter's really at the bottom of the barrel. Plus, if Dudu, there was obviously corruption and nepotism involved while his father was president.
Yeah.
But he probably has to go and beg at the Gupta compound now for extra cash. He's not getting anything else from us now.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter clearly is still on the take.
His dad has been in politics, since 1970?
His whole life.
His dad is a career politician.
Career politician.
And Hunter Biden has benefited directly from his dad. How is that not corruption?
I'd feel better if Joe Biden adopted Jared Leto to replace Hunter. Slippery pickle. Me too.
Jeez.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm telling you. Lucky guy. Every 15 minutes, that's only 200 an hour, and it's impossible to smoke like that for a day. Every 15 minutes. Can you imagine doing crack every 15 minutes?
No, but obviously, Gareth, he has the... the stuff that these like silicon billionaires do where they do the blood draining, they do these all weird toxins where they get a young boy with healthy blood and all his gyms. Yeah, like blood boys and all these stuff.
Hang on, I don't know anything about this.
Wait, you don't know about blood boys?
What are you talking about?
Dude, Silicon Valley tycoons have these guys that you pay this guy to stay in shape, doesn't do drugs, doesn't do alcohol, he's only drinking electrolytes. That's his life. He gets paid to gym and be healthy, and he's your perfect match. And then all you do once a month, you get him to drain a pint of blood and then give you that healthy blood. And then you live forever, apparently.
I think that's fantastic. Is that a real thing, Leanne?
Blood boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
All right. Who would win the Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg fight?
Leanne, go. Mark versus... Elon.
Bearing in mind they both have blood boys.
Yes.
So
yeah,
there's no advantage there.
I'm going for Elon Musk purely because
can producer Ryan throw up the pig while Leanne talks?
Yeah.
I did a what's this thing called? A tail by numbers. This is what they're bringing on.
I got it here. Don't worry.
Okay,
I got
Elon
it here. Elon versus
what
Mark.
do you guys say?
Hang on, that's not it.
That's not it.
Ryan, I don't know where this picture is that Bakabantu's put like a side-by-side comparison of Mark and Elon. Congo Chris says, my money's on Elon. He has a height and weight advantage.
Yeah. But can he go the distance? We're going to do a poll after this, Ryan. Ryan, be on top of this.
Yeah, come on, Ryan. We got to get to Markets Monday, so we don't have a lot of time for this. Come on.
Leanne has to break it down for us.
Who do you think?
I just think Elon Musk, I vote because of his intelligence. I think he would
Mark's
be able to
not an
carry.
idiot.
No, but Elon has a certain type of intelligence.
Mark's just evil. He's not an idiot.
Well, he's a robot, Gareth. He doesn't know he doesn't know evil or good. He just knows numbers.
Mark is an alien. You can't compete with that, says Letu Kolo. Congo Chris says my money's on Elon. He has we've been through that. Someone's talking about Hunter here. It's like Neope and Bluetooth. That's obviously Hunter Biden. I don't have this pic. I'll try to find it, but I don't have it, says Ryan. What was it? Okay. Just give us the gist.
Cool. It was just basically like breaking down their heights, their weights, the whatnot. So just comparing them, height, weight, everything between Mark
who's
Zuckerberg.
your money on then?
My money is on the Zuck. The Zuck is fast. He knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What does Elon know? He also has a martial art.
Elon will bring in like Iron Man fucking suits and shit.
No. This is a cage fight. They're both naked. Mark Zuckerberg is Mark Zuckerberg is tangling with that Chinese chick.
That Chinese chick is his wife. Okay.
Exactly.
That's Chinese chick. Oh my god.
So you see, he has a background in kung fu. That's what we're talking about here. So yeah, I give it to Mark Zuckerberg.
Her name is Titlo Han. All right, have some respect.
Oh no, I thought it was Yoko Ono. Oh no, that's the other one.
Jeez. It's a lot of racism coming in. Her name is Priscilla Chan. They have 3 kids together, but Elon has 7.
Yeah, Elon has 7. He's older. Mark is younger.
Yeah, but he has 7 kids. That'll keep you on your toes.
Well, what? Between what's X, Y, Z, what?
And Elon wasn't he one of the kids is with that Amber Heard? So he had to be ready to go at any minute.
Yeah, he had to be ready to go to be shot on. But also, we forget Elon was bullied in high school. He was bullied by Pretoria boys.
Yeah, that's true.
So Elon is a wimp.
Maybe he's wily as a result. I've seen sometimes bullying can benefit people.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, though.
All right. Well, I don't know if we're going to solve this problem this morning. Mark is the reptile in Mortal Kombat.
Exactly. Can't confuse Mark.
That's so good. Zuck is a robot and doesn't need a blood boy. All he needs is Castrol motor oil for his annual service. Elon taps Zuckerberg out via nipple cripple. You heard it here first. That's hilarious. Okay, well, guys, I'm afraid we're not going to solve this problem now. Possibly one of the only people who would know the answer to this question is Bryan Habana. Now, whether you're a new trader looking for a safe place to start, or you're an experienced trader who's looking for low spreads, multi-assets, and high tech, you will find that markets.com suits you just perfectly. And I'm not making this up. We've had him on a couple of times before. He is a South African hero. He's also one of the smartest people in sport and one of the smartest people in investing as an amateur. He's happy to admit that he's an amateur, but he is Bryan Habana, who's also a spokesperson and ambassador for markets.com. Hey, Bryan, how are you, my friend? Nice to see you.
Good morning, Cliff Central. Good to see you all. I'm not going to get into this Zuckerberg Musk debate. I will pay a lot of money. I'll pay a lot of money to watch it.
You're an investor. If you had to place a bet.
Put a bet. Put your money in it.
Yeah, come on.
Money in my mouth is. So I absolutely I think despise the harsh word for Pretoria boys. Myself and John Smith have quite a lot of beef just against their old Pretoria boys and the rivalry between us and Care. So I think that jiu-jitsu for Zuckerberg might win it. I think those skills learned. I honestly think they're bigger. I mean, if you look at the likes of Dricus du Plessis and some Sappers doing extremely well in the octagon, I think my money's on Zuckerberg if I had to go ahead.
Thank you.
Purely because of expertise.
Very good. Okay, listen, that's not why you came here this morning. Let's just remind everybody, markets.com has given us a special offer. Anybody who's listening to the show this morning, you want to turn some money into more money. If you just invest carefully, and of course, we're not going to give you financial advice during the course of this program, but we will tell you what Bryan's up to, what I've been thinking here. We'll answer a couple of questions. But they're giving a special offer. If you follow the link on our website, go to cliffcentral.com, register with markets.com directly from our site, you will get a 30% bonus on your deposit. Now, I don't have to tell you, that could be a major, major plus. 30% bonus. Are you kidding me? You'd be stupid not to take that up. This week, we take a deep dive into the evolving landscape of U.S. monetary policy. Now, we will dissect the sequence of 10 consecutive interest rate hikes, which have been happening since March 2022. Don't tell me that the U.S. economy isn't in trouble. We'll explore what it means for inflation. It finally seems to be taking a breath, and examine the subdued pace of economic growth. Plus, we will discuss the recent upheaval in the financial sector, marked by failures of regional banks like First Republic, unpack the reasons behind a sudden pause in rate hikes, And we have a familiar face to help us through all of this. Plus, of course, you can always find, and Bryan, you can vouch for me on this one, right? Markets.com have got so many resources. They've got so many clever people working in the background. You can ask them questions. You can go and listen to, download, watch videos. You can find reports on everything, commodities, futures, hedging, anything you need to know. Is that right?
It is right, and it's pretty simple. I think for those of us that are amateurs, and like 7 months in, I'm not quite sure when you actually then become a sort of professional full-time trader. But as an amateur that really just tries to get as much information to be making good decisions, I think that's the most important part that my journey has been a part of with markets, the ability to get the information for you to make good decisions. Again, I'm not in any way a financial advisor in any form of sort, but to be able to just get that information, to try and understand as much in terms of what you as an individual want to be doing, I think is really important. And I think the markets.com team and platform does it so incredibly easy that even some of our stupidest rugby players ever can make good decisions.
You're not stupid. Okay, listen. There are some rugby players who we will not name who I think you could say that about. You are not one of them. But let's talk about this as amateurs, you and I. So we have seen there's been a recent pause in interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve in America. It's come as a shock for some people. But what do you think this means for the economy of the United States, and then obviously for the world economy? Because we know that the US affects everything.
No, we do know that the US affects everything. I don't think it comes as a shock, Gareth, in my personal opinion. We've seen how Russia and China have been pushing really hard from an economic front perspective. The US has really been under a lot of pressure, and I do think the latest hike, you said 10 in a row now, potentially lies a bit of concern around their economic fragility. And I think what a lot of us do understand is that if the US, shows economic fragility, that actually spreads to everywhere else in the world, because they have an influence in all markets globally, which does raise a few concerns. And obviously, if concerns are raised, you tend to become a little bit more risk averse in some of the decisions you're making, especially in terms of trading. It does potentially mean that it could provide a short sort of term relief to borrowers, but potentially not those that really want to make big gains. And I think it does also signal potentially a little bit of a possible reevaluation of economic projections, depending on what type of data you're looking at. So in my opinion, it definitely raises concerns over the fragility, not only in the US but globally, and it also potentially means that it's not going to be just a pause until hikes are over. So I'm a little bit worried, to be honest. There's always opportunity in these times, but I think that economic fragility stuff.
This is why we have you on, because if we were going to because we've spoken to some of the experts, and some of these markets.com experts are very, very smart people, and they've said some very useful things to us. But what I like about you and I talking about this is that we're talking like regular people, and we have to invest our own money. So we're not going to be bullshitting ourselves or each other. And what I like is that every opportunity, or rather every problem situation in the economy results in an opportunity. So let's look at what we're actually saying here. What are the disadvantages of low interest rates in an economy? And what do you think the silver linings are for traders?
Yeah, so obviously I think for those, and again, I needed to learn this a couple of months ago, is, when there are low interest rates, it means for those of us, for me in the post-rugby era, that potentially want to save money, you're going to earn a lot less on either fixed income investments or any deposits you make. So again, and we talk about the US economy impacting everywhere else, like in South Africa, all of a sudden, you're not getting as much in a return for those few rands you have invested, which I think is not always easy, particularly as we're all facing this increasing cost of living crisis. Your salary is not increasing by the same percentage in which interest rates are increasing, and that makes life tough. So all of a sudden, a loaf of bread costs you a little bit more than the actual increase in your salary, which if compounded over groceries, and whether you buy at Woolies or ShopRite or Checkers or Boxer, a basket costs you much more than what you would have paid for last month. And I think that's a worry in terms of not only that, but the money that you have been saving or putting away is not growing at the same rate, which is a bit of a concern. And I think it could potentially lead to a asset bubble, and we saw it potentially a few years ago. The NFT market was absolutely brilliant. I got in, I was trying to make myself a few bucks getting NFTs, but that was a bubble in which investors sort of try to seek higher returns. We've seen ChatGPT in the last while and the massive increase in attention and people saying, well, ChatGPT is the future, AI is the way to invest. But that creates a bubble that, potentially many of us low entry level people can't actually get into, which potentially means a lot more people are going to now go and try borrow, and it's going to encourage excessive borrowing. And in so doing, maybe just increases that household debt a little bit, which is a massive concern. But that being said, and like I said, there's always opportunity in every environment that presents itself. And for the traders, the silver lining, it could potentially mean that borrowing capital for trading purposes becomes a little bit easier because, the banks and the financial institutions are really keen to lend out money these tough times. And that could also drive asset prices up, Gareth. So there is always opportunity. But again, it's making sure that you know all the information before you actually, tap into whatever decision you're going to, go into.
All right, since we're talking about inflation, it's stubborn across a range of economies, the UK being the biggest offender at the moment. Now, given its staying power, how long do you think this pause for the Fed will last? And for countries struggling even more than the US, what are the governments there not doing? I mean, what do you see? Because this is now almost political. It's not just about economy. It's about politics as well. So what do you see happening here in the long term?
It's not just politics. It's the power of, or the balance of power across the global economies. We briefly mentioned Russia and China. Are we going to see a new currency be developed in the next year or two? The Chinese wealth and what they're being able to offer the world is something that, if they do, it can make a massive impact in terms of a change of how you invest your money, what type of currency you're investing in. So I think the US, and I think there's a lot of debate over their own political influences. I think Joe Biden tripping one more time over a slippery carpet might lead to a change in how the political power. But I think, over the next 6 months to year period, in South Africa, we've got our political elections happening next year. But, what influence does Mr. Ramaphosa and the ANC visiting Russia, have on our own economy? But I think the US, again, the next 6 to 12 months, a lot of people will probably, be risk averse in a lot of the decision making because everyone is watching what they can happen. I think in the next year, it might struggle, in my personal opinion, to any for growth or opportunity in which the US economy bounces back. And until we see interest rate hikes moving in the opposite direction from a US perspective and what their Federal Reserve is doing, I'm going to potentially, be very, very risk averse in my decision-making process because, again, the US economy, if it does continue to struggle, it's going to have a major impact on the assets and investments that I look towards on a markets.com platform. But in so doing, potentially makes Russia and China much stronger in their ability to really, change the way the global indices do react.
Okay, so you're good friends with the guys over at markets.com. You speak to them probably more than anybody. So has Solomon or any of the others given you any indication of what they've got planned for the future? Because they're always putting new products on, they're new things we can invest in. What have you heard?
Yes, I think markets.com, we've got quite a few affiliate catch-ups and roadshows happening over the next couple of months. There's obviously a Rugby World Cup happening later this year. So hopefully my journey, along with what markets.com have put on, will be available for people to engage with on various forums. I think from an actual product and tech perspective, they're continuously working to make the platform as easy but as inclusive as possible for those wanting to really start a journey, but for those that are expertise in making sure that their journey is progressive and successful. So I'm really excited. I know we've got a few in Cape Town and in Johannesburg in terms of affiliate, catch-ups and meet and greets over the next month or two, and maybe 1 or 2 exciting competitions and prizes. You've already mentioned a 30% discount. If people do sign up on the current platform, which, like I say, if 100 Rand potentially equals 130 Rand, and that 30 Rand comes for free, you'd be stupid not to grab onto it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I couldn't agree more. Bryan, it's always nice to see you, and thank you for joining us on the show. And we will catch up with you again soon. I'm sure we'll see you once or twice more before we go to France for the Rugby World Cup. And I'm glad that we got your prediction in for Zuckerberg versus Musk.
I didn't say how much.
No, it's fine.
I didn't actually say how much. Okay, just as long as
don't worry.
I didn't give an actual amount. Yeah. I was gonna say $1 each, but as long as I don't say anything, it's all good.
Yeah, we'll do a fun little side bet on this. You and I, and we'll put like $100
lunch on the loser.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just back Elon, you back Zuck, and we'll go for lunch. Whoever wins doesn't have to pay. Done.
Would it become a virtual AI one if it doesn't actually physically happen?
No, I think we got to actually see them.
We have to see them in the ring. You have to see these competitors duke it out.
Okay, so I've got this here. You might be interested in this before we let you go quickly. So here's the comparison. All right. So who are you going to choose?
The tail of the tape.
So here's Elon. Yeah, that's what he looks like.
Guys. Why did you choose those pics?
I mean, he's just getting vitamin D in Indonesia.
There he is.
You definitely have to go for a spray tan before the fight. Let's be honest.
I took that on the boat I was on last week. So there he is. And here's Mark. Here's Mark, who was surfing past. I mean, he's definitely in better shape. But that face, that's definitely the face of a lizard.
That's sunscreen. That's sunscreen, guys. He's protecting himself.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am. Just purely on that, Zuckerberg's already more intuitive in fact that he wants to protect his skin from the sun. I mean, Elon Musk looks like he looks as white as what that sunscreen is. And Zuckerberg's actually doing an activity where Elon Musk has got a drink in his hand, standing on a boat. Easy game for Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, you'd rather be friends with the one than the other, but that's not what we're talking about. Right.
Yeah.
Both.
I know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Nice to see you, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
Team, have a great week. Be blessed.
Thank you. Bryan Habana from markets.com this morning. And by the way, Willie asks in the comment section, what is the link for the 30%? Just go to cliffcentral.com, our website, and you look up Markets Mondays, and it's all right there. Couldn't be easier for you. Very good. All right. We've had a busy morning, huh? Great start to the week. I hope you have an excellent start to the week. And we've got loads of things to still talk about tomorrow and every other day this week, so don't go anywhere. Thanks to Bakabantu Leanne, to Dr. Hanan, to Bryan Habana, and everybody else who joined in, including Kevin, who's going to go and end a relationship this morning.
Hopefully.
Well, who knows? Dr. Hanan didn't tell him he had to go and end a relationship.
You can't, professionally, you can't say that, Gareth.
Yeah.
You said that.
Right. So I said that. We shouldn't follow my advice. We should have a constant ticker at the bottom of the screen saying,
disclaimer,
do not follow any advice.
This is not a news show. This is not a money show.
And anything the host says must be disregarded immediately.
Yeah. Listen to us, but don't listen to us.
Okay, but the only thing that must not be disregarded is like, subscribe, comment.
Yes, good point. Well put. Please do all of that stuff. Otherwise, Leanne won't be able to afford a hip replacement. So please, we hate to use this as a reason to manipulate you, but if you don't like and subscribe,
Leanne can't open her legs.
Right. If there isn't anything persuasive, if that doesn't do it for you, I don't know what will.
Please, guys.
Which one do you want?
Please.
Do you want peace?
Do you want peace? Or do you want war?
Unity.
All right. Thank you very much. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.